brothers and sisters, we've had some significant feasts the last few days, and including today, that this saint kind of goes a little bit maybe unnoticed or not. We're not so much aware of him. We'll speak about him last. But I know I keep saying I'm going to get back to that series with Dan, and I really will. But again, I just feel really moved to share, to kind of cram into one video, maybe 3 wisdoms that these saints offer to us or witness to us. The first, we're going to speak about St. Francis of Assisi, whose feast was on October 4th. And I mean, there's so much we could say about Francis, his life, his incredible witness, this man of God who renounced everything, his earthly patrimony, for the sake of his heavenly patrimony, for his heavenly Father. This man who totally became a spiritual force for the Middle Ages, along with St. Dominic, transforming in many ways the religious life of the church and conveying the gospel in a fresh new way. One of the things I just want to say from his life that I remember reading in a book by Chesterton upon him that really struck me, and I may have shared this before, but I'm just going to offer it. And we could speak about Francis's poverty, his absolute incredible sense of how we are one with the creation, and that other, the sun and the moon are on the level of nature radically our siblings, and the freshness by which he kind of conveyed the beauty of the creation, or his extreme ascetical life, his meticulousness for clean liturgy, in a sense of having the altars well prepared and using the best for the mass while the brothers lived in poverty, but everything was great for God and to enliven our senses in the mass. We can speak about his absolute Eucharistic love, etc. But there's one comment that was made about Francis that has always stayed with me. And I think within it is concealed a powerful wisdom. And it is this, that there wasn't a promise that Francis was not afraid to make to God. I suspect with all of you, and even myself, or maybe most of you, or certainly with me, there are promises I'm afraid to make to God because I'm afraid of failing. I'm afraid of not fulfilling them, so I don't end up making them explicitly. I'm not talking about promises in terms of not sinning, or I'm talking about the extra things we could do for Lord. That is really a question of excess of love and perfection. Whatever it might be. It could be that, the promises we do at Lent, it might be that, Lord, I'm going to take a cold shower every day during the months of winter and offer that as a reparation for sins. Well, I'm afraid to make that promise because I on one level don't think I can keep that promise. But Francis is different. Francis really believes in grace, and maybe his humility. Maybe he knows that if he does fall, well, the Lord will be there to pick him up and go again. So that's one thing from Francis. Don't be afraid to make promises to God, because God will give his grace to help us to maintain them. And I preach this to myself, but it's something that has helped me to actually make the jump and make some promises to God. And thankfully, by God's grace, so far, I've been able to maintain. But, just that piece of wisdom. Another one is from St. Faustina, the great saint who, in the last century, again, these lives of the saints witnessed us that our faith is not fiction, but that it is real, that the Lord is alive in his saints, and witnessed us the power of the gospel, the power of grace, and that the Catholic faith is the true faith, that the Catholic faith gives to us the faith of the Church of Christ, that Christ established the Catholic Church. And we shouldn't be afraid to say that, while having respect that Jesus is the only way to come to know God the Father on earth in an intimate, true way. All other faiths are groping at truth and goodness, but we need Christ. We need Christ to reveal to us the face of the Father. And St. Faustina really understood this, and Christ would come to her in incredible ways. And there's a piece of wisdom from St. Faustina that the Lord taught to her that is very encouraging. And Jesus said to her one day in one of his many apparitions to her, This firm resolution to become a saint is extremely pleasing to me. I bless your efforts, and I will give you opportunities to sanctify yourself. Be watchful that you lose no opportunity that my providence offers you for sanctification. Keep God. Don't lose. Let us not lose and squander the graces God has given to us. If you do not succeed, however, in taking advantage of an opportunity, in other words, if you've lost some kind of grace, do not lose your peace, but humble yourself profoundly before me, and with great trust, immerse yourself completely in my mercy. And now listen to this part, it's so beautiful. In this way, you gain more than you have lost, because more favor is granted to a humble soul than the soul itself asks for. So that's a great piece of wisdom. Coming to St. Bruno, whose feast is today, his great wisdom and his witness is that God must be first. He founded the Carthusians, the Charter House, and, he teaches us about the primacy of God, the primacy of prayer, the primacy of the desert in our life.